is another drive-through with Don. One of the things I learned incredibly early on through the great wisdom of a leader that was teaching me and telling me how to be effective is one of the questions I'd asked is, how do you truly learn at what point to do something, to pull the trigger, to fire somebody, to challenge them, to put the line in the sand? At what, when do you do that? How do you learn to do that effectively? And recently I had a client who was holding off. He probably needed to fire somebody, but I needed him to not fire him, but use language that drew the line in the sand, was very clear cut. And bottom line, I wanted it for two reasons. One is this client wasn't willing in most situations to draw the line in the sand. The second thing is he wasn't going to know how well or poorly this guy was going to respond. He wasn't going to know the grit, the sand that this guy had until he drew the line for the guy and he saw how he responded. So what was very interesting is that he drew the line in the sand. He was very clear. In this many days, you're going to have to be gone unless you can achieve this, this, and this. And we also have to be reasonably confident you can achieve this in a 90 and 180-day period. What was very interesting is the discussion being that frank, direct, and honest was actually refreshing to who he was talking to. They've risen to the occasion. Looks like they can be saved. And not only can they be saved, but some of the initiatives they've been trying to drive in the last 6 months to a year that have stalled out, they've been able to get going. So going back to what I learned from this leader is the way to know if you've gone too far is to actually take it sometimes farther than you think you possibly should and see what happens. And if you have somebody reasonable on the other side, if you've gone too far, they'll say something. But a lot of times I'm finding people find they needed to go there, and it sparks earlier, quicker a change. If you can't save them, then at least you know it, and they can be gently and properly gotten into a better situation. So another bit of wisdom, drive through with Don.